Today in the crypto space, we see the market getting a slight pullback to the downside. Bitcoin down approximately 1.5%, give or take, while Ethereum is still kind of going sideways above that $2,500 mark. In fact, at about $2,623. The rest of the crypto space, the altcoins are also coming down, a few dips here and there. We have Litecoin coming down significantly. However, there are a few rallies. Stacks looking good, HNT, and a few others. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator. But more importantly, I want to talk about one altcoin that has retraced to a good level of horizontal support and is getting a reaction as we speak. And that project is called Neon. Neon EVM is the ticker. So you know what? Let's talk about the news. Let's analyze the charts and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunities, whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 7:30 Eastern, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here with the general market first. We'll take a look at Bitcoin as a leading indicator, and then we'll talk about Neon. Let's see what's happening with Neon. Of course, we're getting a bit of a reaction in the short term, maybe the beginning or some proof of life that we are retracing right back to where it came from. All right, so let's continue. Let's see what's going on here. Bitcoin, based on the inflation numbers and how things are going economically, you know, it's not looking good. And the fact is that the numbers were a bit higher than expected, and we saw the market react. So market-wide reaction means to the downside. We see Ethereum getting a pullback, Bitcoin getting a pullback, and so on. And we see a lot of the altcoins also reacting to that level. BNB coming down, and we see Solana, a lot of the dips. So we can expect that the explanation for the current dip across the market is basically the inflation numbers. And that's the thing. Coming down to lower levels is totally fine in this case based on a bit of FUD. But we are still hopeful on some of the altcoins that have been running. Litecoin right now is taking a bigger beating than expected. It's only 5%, but look at that. Breaking structure to the downside, a change of character in this trend to the upside. It's not a good look. We still have some projects still grinding to the upside despite them being down in the negatives. They're still making higher highs and higher lows. So the trend is your friend, guys. And we know that the dip right now was induced by the numbers, the inflation numbers. So ultimately, we got to be very careful here, expecting this to be a catalyst or some sort of, you know, event that is going to drag the market down further. You know, a bit of a dip and a continuation to the upside is very, very possible here. So maybe this dip is meant to be bought. However, I do feel that Bitcoin at its current state could be ready for a retracement, given the fact that Bitcoin has been very strong in the last little while. Seeing Bitcoin come down to levels of support, backtesting and confirming, you know, previous horizontal levels of resistance and as support is a healthy thing. So you know what, it could be that we are getting gearing in for a retracement, and this is where I'm gonna be very, very hesitant in deploying more capital in the next little while, because if we do come down and the market based on Bitcoin's lead comes down, we are going to be able to buy into some of these altcoins on the cheap. We can see Optimism coming down 3.5%. We see Near Protocol has been grinding so nicely to the upside, so slow and steady, and all of a sudden down 4%. We have Injective, we have many others kind of doing their thing, still kind of grinding away and still holding and maintaining the trend to the upside. So structurally speaking, although we are on a dip in the short term, you can see that we're still making higher highs and higher lows. So I don't think there's anything to really fear at the current moment. Figure out your invalidations for your long positions and start putting a bit of stop losses right in that zone. Take a bit of profit so that you can walk away profitable. And that for me is a great way to de-risk if you see signs of negativity and see signs of bearish momentum to the downside. So far, the market is okay. You know, we can at least explain why the dip is happening. Now, there are a few projects that are running right now. And of course, Neon is one of them. Today's videos, we're going to talk about Neon. And there's many others. CKB has been doing good. Nervos, doing very well, guys. I got into Nervos way early, and I haven't really talked about it since. The reality is I got in probably last year around this time, and I've been accumulating and holding, and that's usually the risk to reward is healthy at that level, and the reward is going to be based on patience. So this is the key here, guys. I think at this level, or at this point in the market, we should be experiencing or basically flexing our patience skills. We need some patience here in this market. Buy in DCA nice and slowly. At good levels of horizontal support, you get more aggressive and just be patient. Look at Pith doing pretty good. You look how patient we were here. I bought in early and I've just been patient and slowly grinding. It's up 27% in the last 7 days. And as the market is falling, we're seeing Pith still move to the upside. So is Blur and so many others. All right, guys, let's continue. Let's begin our analysis here on Bitcoin. I know you want to talk about charts, so let's do it. Bitcoin doing its thing, still kind of within that range or that structure of making these higher highs. However, this low is the next level. We got to see if we're going to make this lower low. We made a higher high, so we didn't break any structural changes in the last little while. You can see that still higher highs. Now, do we come down and make a higher low and continue the trend to the upside? Guys, of course, Bitcoin is doing really good and super good, to the point that it could be too good to be true to expect Bitcoin to reach all-time highs in price discovery. Let's take a look at this in a bit more detail. Now, you do see it does look a bit like a megaphone here. If you kind of look at what's happening, it does look like a broadening wedge, upward sloping. And because technically speaking that we basically came into this, type of megaphone, it's starting to look pretty interesting in the sense that we could be looking for a breakout here, okay? Because we got our nice pivot point and now we're basically trending to the upside. However, guys, I am also very aware with the fact that, coming down to horizontal levels is very possible, given that, Bitcoin has outperformed every single asset in the crypto space in the last little while based on its volume. Based on volume. I'm not talking about percentages because we've seen a lot of altcoins run in the last little while for sure. But based on, using its volume in within the equation, Bitcoin is massive. And for a massive asset to move 200% plus from its bottom is a great achievement. Now, ultimately, a bit of a backtest would be healthy. So again, I am making sure that I have a reserve of capital ready to deploy upon a retracement on Bitcoin, but I'm not going to be deploying it on Bitcoin. I'm going to be looking for altcoins that are deep in the red. So guys, join me tonight at 7:30 Eastern. We'll take a look at this in a little bit more detail. We'll take a look at Ethereum. We'll take a look at Bitcoin dominance. We'll be talking about some of the aspects of the market that we can strategically place ourselves in a positive way, because I know there's a lot of individuals thinking right now, should I go all in? And the thing is that it's not about going all in, it's about being balanced, and balance is key at this level. You don't want emotions because then you're in balance. You don't want to deploy too much capital because then you're in imbalance. You don't want to have too much reserve because then you're in balance. So what you have to do is come up with a recipe for balance. Guys, tonight we'll be talking about how we can make our portfolios decently balanced for the up and coming bull run. And of course, every recipe is going to be different for everybody, but the general idea is key to grasp right now where we are in this current state. All right, guys, let's move on. Let's take a look at Neon. Guys, today's video is about Neon, and I want to focus on Neon just a little bit here, because Neon at the end of the day was showing us a bit of weakness, to the point there was a bit of fear floating around in the market, guys. And when there's fear, I get excited, and this is exactly the reason why I get excited. Now, there's two things that we need to discuss here. Number one, the fact is that even though the market right now is not looking great, look at Neon, okay? And this has to do with what I talk about every day here on the channel, on the live stream. I mention it all the time, is that if you buy into a retracement and you look for horizontal support, despite what happens in the market, it is likely to hold support because you are basically buying at levels that are pretty much already bottomed out. Essentially, you're not buying tops. You're buying into the bottom retracement already. You're buying into horizontal support. And when markets see this, the participation increases. And you can see that is exactly what happened at this level. Despite the bearishness in the market, people saw this as an opportunity. Now, of course, we're going to take a look at the oscillators, and we can also consider the fact that Bitcoin took a dip. The numbers, the inflation numbers have been dragging down the market, but Neon is holding strong, all based on horizontal support. Now, the horizontal support was defined by a bit of a volume gap. that, to be honest, wasn't even the clearest. But because I was able to manipulate the volume profile here a little bit, I was able to identify a weak zone. And this was the weak zone right into here. Now, it's not as clear as it was before, because as we came down, we filled up the volume gap just a little bit. At one point in the past, when this volume wasn't here, when this price action wasn't here, this spot right here was a lot more empty, which meant that it was a weak spot. Which meant that ultimately the price, if the bears wanted to bring down the price can come all the way down to about, give or take, 93 cents. Which, guess what, guys? It did that. Now, even if you didn't happen to catch this wick to the bottom and you happen to DCA, because all my green arrows mean DCA, but it's not DCA blindly, right? You're waiting for oversold conditions, whether it be the 4-hour, whether it be the daily, even the weekly. At the end of the day, what we're looking for is oversold conditions with good levels of horizontal support. And we got to that zone. And I'm keeping an eye on this horizontal support right here at about 64 cents, given the fact that we do have previous price action, that it could ultimately come down. And you can see the volume profiles giving us a big spike of volume of market participation here that could act as support. But look, at the current moment, we are holding up. Now let's look at some volume. Let's look at the momentum and the trend oscillators. And you can see clearly the RSI is basically not giving us a signal. This is not an actionable scenario. For me, personally, as a trader, I like oversold conditions. And you can see that, as the price is coming down, the momentum is also coming down. The RSI is also coming out to lower levels slightly. The MACD at the end of the day is doing the opposite. We're getting slightly bullish divergence here. You can see the histogram bars are moving the opposite direction. However, the EMAs are kind of replicating the pattern of the price action, making a slightly lower low, which means that this EMA cross could either be a fake out to the upside like we've had in the past, or we could be finally looking to get back into the bullish control zone and finally get an impulsive move to the upside. Well, look at this price action right now. The price action looks good, but the fear here is that the daily could get oversold. So we have no choice but to look at the 4-hour. The 4-hour is the time frame because the daily is not really there. You're not getting an edge, so you got to find an edge so that you're not gambling. Now, if you got in on the 4-hour, which I would have recommended based on the fact that, look, it did get oversold. We got 2 spikes to the downside. Obviously, no divergence. However, at least we got oversold, and we can see that we are respecting horizontal levels of support. And if you look at the horizontals, we got this price action right here at the green arrow to act as that support. So oversold conditions, horizontal, great levels of horizontal support in the short term, and the MACD, guys. You can't deny this MACD, even market wide, the MACD is looking good. We got EMAs to the upside, green histogram bars ready to launch to the upside, which means that ultimately this price could get to higher levels. And this is what I'm expecting, a full recovery. Now, we got to understand what happened here with Neon EVM. There was a bit of FUD. There was a bit of a discrepancy between a large holder of Neon. Basically, he sold, and a lot of that's why the price came down. Now, that for me is not the invisible hand of the economy. That's just, manipulation that happens by an individual that has a little bit too much exposure to the asset, and that can move the market. So ultimately, it came into a very oversold or undervalued scenario. So in my opinion, this was the opportunity to buy the dip. Now, where can we expect this thing to go? So really, the next level, which is the level of where you can expect a bit of liquidity, and you can see where maybe the bears are going to want to protect, is $1.80. Now, that's a range. We're starting to look at this as a range. Maybe it came down and it got oversold, and the market overreacted and finally came down to here and got support. Now, we could definitely backtest and definitely come down and hit this level, which is at about $1.11 again. Get to the $1.11 once more time, and then get that confirmation low, a higher low, and then finally go to the top of the range. Now, the top of the range is defined by all this price action right here, and you can see the volume profile is pretty much confirming that this is a range based on all the volume that we have here on the volume profile. There's a lot of market participation in this zone. So what we could expect is that at $1.80, that's when we should have a plan to de-risk. Now, it doesn't mean that you're going to be exiting all your position. What it means is that that at this level, it's very likely that we see a reaction. And what are you going to do about that reaction? Are you going to take 10% off the top and trail up a stop loss and put yourself in a bit of profit? If you do that, I would say that putting a stop loss at about $1.40 is not bad, right underneath the 200 daily EMA, the 200 4-hour EMA, because at the end of the day, this EMA might act as support if we do come up and come down to backtest and potentially go sideways around here, maybe for a bull flag and continue to the upside. For all we know, we could pick up some good bullishness in this level and actually break out with one go, and that's very possible and very likely, because it came down so vigorously with no real reason, because fundamentally this project is still super bullish. It provides EVM compatibility to Solana. Essentially, Solana ecosystem can employ or use Solidity-based projects, basically Ethereum-based projects, which is really good. It allows the Solana ecosystem or the Neon to embrace, basically Ethereum, and to embrace its ecosystem, which is good. A lot of good volume, a lot of good projects to deploy, and it leverages its ecosystem. So that's good. But ultimately, the price action came overvalued. So in my opinion here, obviously not financial advice, is that around $1.80, I would be trailing up a stop loss to put yourself in a bit of profit if you happen to buy these dips here, as the signal suggests. And then obviously taking a bit of profits, 10% off the top is not bad. Give it a bit of a haircut just in case we do get that retracement. At least you have 10% to be buying the dip again, whether it be on Neon or any other project. But I think right now, right here, we still need to consider the fact that we're still making lower lows and lower highs. Okay, so the safest bet is to wait for a confirmation low. Let it come down one more time, see that we get support as a confirmation that we're not making another lower low, and then it's going to start to look like an inverse head and shoulder, where this is one shoulder, this is the head, and the final dip here, the confirmation low, will be the last shoulder, and then we start looking for the break of a neckline. So this would be the ultimate zone to get in with a bit more risk, but the way we are right now, it could continue. This is the chance you take. Just look at the 4-hour though. The RSI is almost overbought, so it's a bit risky. We couldn't get into overbought conditions, and this is where we usually get the majority of the move. The strength of the move comes into when we get overbought, which could be the case. But look at the 4-hour. It could definitely experience a mean reversion, where the purple line comes right back down to the yellow. Every time the purple and the yellow kind of separate from one another, it tends to want to get back together again. So it's very possible that does happen. So this is the thing here. Getting into a fresh long is quite risky. We're already overbought. The EMA and the RSI are too far apart. The MACD is still good, so we're not really rushing on the MACD. The EMAs are facing up, still green histogram bars, but it is a lagging indicator, and it's going to take a bit of time for it to kind of register the bullishness or the bearishness that happens. We also have this 204-hour EMA that could act as resistance right around this level, hitting it, getting rejected, and coming right back down to about, again, $1, nice round number, maybe a little bit higher, and then buy the dip and accumulate within this range. If we go sideways here and we see a bit of market participation, a bit of volume here on the volume profile, and a bit of volume spike right here on the volume histogram bars on the chart, it would be a great time to start building a position right around this zone. Guys, I am bullish on Neon. I think that this retracement could be over, and it's a great time to take risk. You're not buying tops. Let's put it that way. You're not buying tops. You're buying into a retracement with good horizontal levels of support. Guys, if I've offered you any value in this update, obviously you know what you got to do. You got to slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm and helps the channel grow, and I really do appreciate it. Of course, if you want to join the Discord is a great community. Lots of good alpha trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. Guys, I'm going to be live tonight at 7:30 Eastern. It is a great place and time to make any requests on any projects that you're interested in, and of course I'll see you then. Take care, guys. Have a good one, and don't forget, buy the dip.